Good morning, guys. It's like 7 something in the morning, very close to 8. Let us see. I think it says 8:01 a.m. Let me wear my backpack right for a second. How it is. I hope y'all are having an amazing and beautiful day. It's been a rainy morning in Madrid, apparently. Let me see if I can show you how wet the floor is. Look at that. The streets are pretty wet. Sidewalk is pretty wet. I'm on my way to the park. I'm gonna walk there. Then I'm gonna hit some calisthenics. I might show you the calisthenics park if there's not too many people there. You know, we don't want to be the annoying YouTuber. So yeah, and today we're gonna be talking about, or at least in this YouTube video, we're gonna be talking about the fact that I used to hate myself. Not something easy to talk about for sure, but I think I can manage. So I'll see you in a bit. I made it at the park. Kind of sucks that it's raining a little bit, so I don't really want to get the camera wet. But look at this view, guys. Well, maybe it doesn't look as cool as it does with my own 2 eyes, but I mean, see. And I was sorry, I pointed the camera away. We're very close to the Fallen Angel Plaza, where the calisthenics park is. So I'll see you in a bit. Boom. Nah, check this shit out, guys. I mean, does it get more epic than this? I believe that building that we're seeing right over there is the Crystal Palace. And yeah, let's see. Cypress from the swamps from the Retiro. And here's a nice lake. Here are nice trees. Very beautiful. And there are many ducks. Look, there's a duck right there. And he's getting closer. I wonder if he or she thinks I'm gonna give her food. I don't know. But hey, another duck just came out of the lake. And yeah, let me go to the park. I just had to get this shot in quick. We can see here's the Crystal Palace from up front. And check this shit out. My feet. And this is the lake. It looks so cool from here. Ain't it nice, huh? Look at this red tree over here. He looks funky. But oh my god, man. That is pretty fucking crazy, huh? Over here, a lot of ducks that are swimming. Nah, it looks beautiful. Well, park time. If you make it here, boom, right? What we can see here is the Fallen Angel Plaza. And let's take a good look at our boy Lucifer, because I believe it's him. Let us see. It's a pretty fucking amazing looking statue. And yeah, you got all these like demonic faces there, right? So this is the Fallen Angel Plaza. And as soon as you get here, right? Oh, okay. Wait, let me run a little bit. See, so you're gonna see this sign right here. Boom. It says Plaza del Ángel Caído. which basically means Fallen Angel Plaza. And if you make it there and you see that sign, look at what we got here. Boom! The Calisthenics Park. I'm just gonna show you the park real quick. There are, I think, like 2 to 3 people exercising, so I don't really want to be a bother. But we got everything that you want in a calisthenics park. You got these bars, got that over there. You have this pull-up machine or pull-up bar. You have that bench to do abs. You have that bar over there to do dips. You have those bars over there. You have these like improvised weights, pretty cool. There you can do some push-ups, dip station, and more and more and more. So when I'm done, we're gonna be talking about the topic of today's video. Oh my, I thought I swore, wait, I swore I hit the record button, but it looks like I didn't. Well, I finished my morning workout. I found this pretty secluded area in the park. That's my backpack and that's my sweater. And this is my surrounding view. I'm very close to the Crystal Palace. It's right over there. And I put my sweater in my bag like that because it's still considerably wet. It's not raining anymore. But yeah, here we are. And let's get into the topic of today's video, which is I used to hate myself. Now, I don't know how this video is going to end up like, because I'm debating, or I was debating in my thoughts, that considering the nature of the topic of today's video, maybe I am going to talk a lot. And I'm fighting within myself because I don't really want to make a long video, in the sense that I don't really want to be here to bore you so much. But at the same time, I can understand that it's a pretty complex, or it could be a pretty extensive topic. So yeah, I used to hate myself. And when I say I used to hate myself, I really mean that I used to hate myself. And where does it all begin? I think at a very young age, I had a pretty complex familial situation. In one of my videos, I think in the Don't Underestimate the Power of Anime, I told you guys that my father wasn't really around that much when I was a kid. More specifically, when I was growing up, between the years of like 1 to 10. Sorry, were those dogs barking really loud, or was it me? Anyways, yeah, my dad wasn't really around much when I was growing up, and I started to hate the fact that I was even alive at one point, because my familial situation wasn't that of my classmates in my school, for example. I would see kids in my grade or even younger, and I'm talking about me being in like the 1st grade, 2nd grade, or even like kindergarten type stuff. I used to see these kids, and they used to go to school with their mom and dad, or their mom and dad used to pick him up. And, you know, over time I realized, hey, you know, my father's kind of missing from the picture. And I really started hating the world because of that fact. I started hating everything and everyone around me. I started hating all my classmates, all my friends. Like deep down, I had this resentment. Oh my God, these freaking dogs, bro. I might honestly have to go somewhere else. I can't believe it. Well, maybe it quieted down. Never mind. Take two without stopping the record button. So yeah, I started questioning everything as well. And at a very young age, probably by the time I was like 9 or 10 years old, I started wanting to endgame myself. It was kind of that bad. And probably when I was like around 10 to 11 years old, I got a cold in like December break of school. And my mom took me to the doctor. And for some reason, the doctor told my mother that I had pneumonia, right? Which is like it's like a more severe type of cold. And I was pretty sick for like a week, but I even faked being more sick for like a period of 2 or 3 extra weeks. So in theory, I missed like the first 2 weeks of school. And at one point I told my mom that I didn't want to go back to school. And this was because I basically alienated myself from all of my peers in school. And my mom could kind of tell. So we switched schools. I started, instead of going to the Jefferson school, I started going to the British school. And life kind of got better for me, you know. I had my first real friend there in school. And because I joined school at like a very awkward period, like throughout the middle of the year, I was kind of like, you know, the topic of town, or the new topic, the hot topic of town. And it was definitely a way better situation for me, at least academically or in school. You could also say I was like a very isolated and weird kid in school, like in my first school at the very least. And it's not like I got bullied or anything, but I definitely got like the weird kid treatment, you know. I had a very, you know, small group of friends, and all of us were pretty awkward, all of us were pretty weird. And like the cool kids, you know, they kind of used to make fun of us, but not really in the bullying sense of things. And then when I switched to the British school, I kind of had a taste of what it meant to be like a popular kid, or a, you know, a big fish in the sea or a big fish in the pond kind of thing. And going to school was pretty nice because I could escape, you know, my situation from home, because I kind of dreaded that for the longest time. Just going back home and not seeing my father there. My mom was also a pretty absent person, and my older siblings were already in college at this point, and they used to live abroad. So all in all, I think my hatred came from, yeah, being known, feeling so alone and feeling so neglected and feeling abandoned by my father. And consequential, yeah, I just started hating everything around me, and I was just jealous and envious of everybody else who had what I didn't have. What else? I used to be a pretty competitive person. I still am, I think, but I never handled competition very sanely. Like, maybe some of you will relate. If you come in second place, right, which is, you know, by all means, a good place to end if you're like racing or competing, right? Let's say you're running a marathon and you come in second place, or you're taking your SATs and you come in second place, or you have this essay that you had to write for English class and you had a 98 over 100, but somebody else beat you to it. You took this coming in second place like you came in last place, right? So kind of, if I did not win, I felt like the biggest loser. And I also kind of suffered from that, from the syndrome of hating to be second place. And this came in all areas. Like, let's say I used to be playing soccer with my friends, and, you know, I scored 2 goals, but my friend scored 3. I used to hate myself. I wasn't necessarily jealous of my friend, you know, in that sense. But I hated myself for not being able to be better than the other person, you know? Back in school, we used to also play a lot of Pokemon, the trading card game, and also we used to duel a lot with the link cables and the Game Boy Advance games. I'm talking about first generation and second generation Pokemon games. And if I was the second place duelist, I would literally, you know, get back home and throw my game cartridges to the wall or to the floor and break my Game Boy or smash it against somewhere. It was disgusting. And it also used to happen to me when I used to play StarCraft. Every time I used to lose a StarCraft game, you should have seen me kind of, you know, react very overwhelmingly terrible. I guess you could say that I suffered from a lot of, you know, rage. And I hated myself for, yeah, not being in first place or never winning. What else? There also used to be a point, this was a little bit more throughout my, you know, late adolescent years and my early 20s. Oh, look at these birds. I can't film them because if I turn my camera around, they are going to probably run. Look at that. Look at that little guy. Look at these 3 little guys over there. I forgot what I was going to say. I really forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I remembered. So, growing up, like in my later adolescent years, early 20s type bracket, there was definitely a person I had like idealized that I never wanted to become. I don't necessarily want to go very deep in this, you know, rabbit hole, but let's just say that I was Luffy, right? Or yeah, I was Luffy, or I am Luffy, and the person that I least wanted to become was Blackbeard, right? If I am Luffy, or if I was Luffy, and I became Blackbeard throughout the course of my life, I would have never, 1, forgiven myself, and 2, hated myself more than I could have ever imagined, right? And what I can at least tell you is that this person, instead of naming him Blackbeard, he used to be one of my uncles, a brother of my father. And he's already dead, rest in peace. And I always used to tell myself that I never wanted to end up like him. And at one point in my life, that's exactly who I became. I became the person that I least wanted to be, or the person that I hated the most. And when I realized this, I became devastatingly depressed. When I looked at myself in the mirror and saw that I kind of went through a metamorphosis, like let's say Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. Gregory Samsa, from human, he transforms, or he devolves into a cockroach. When I saw, or when I came to the realization that what I was looking in the mirror, at the mirror, was not essentially myself, but was this deteriorated, insect-like, putrid version of myself, I almost lost all hope of continuing to live. And this, you know, this metamorphosis became a product of many bad decisions and many bad life choices that I decided to make or take when I used to be in my adolescent years. I was really a hypocrite, and maybe I am still now, because who kind of isn't? But when I used to be younger, I was way more hypocritical. You know, I idealized people who were very faithful to their code or to their peers and to their friendships or relationships. And let's say that one of the things where I really struggled and I really was at fault for just being a terrible human being was that I was never faithful to my female partners in these, you know, relationships that I used to have as a adolescent or in my, you know, young 20s. I idolized people like, let's say, Goku or Naruto or, I don't know, fictional characters that were incredibly faithful to, like I said, their code or their peers and their partners specifically. Would you ever think that Naruto is like unfaithful to Hinata or Goku to Chi-Chi or, you know, Sasuke to Sakura, for example? Maybe in that case, you know, you don't know, but no, they're not. And these are people who maybe stray a little bit from their path or from the destiny that they have to fulfill. And, you know, when I kind of fell into the habit of being unfaithful to my partners and, you know, being unfaithful to my friends, and I realized this, man, I would used to bang my head against the wall so hard in a physical and in a metaphorical sense. So let's just say it started with that. And then I started to isolate myself to a very unhealthy degree. I never wanted to leave my room. I never wanted to speak to anybody. I was so miserable and so depressed that I think the period in which this most affected me, I was 3 years, I'm not kidding, I was 3 years lying in my bed without doing absolutely anything at all. And we're talking about like 1,000+ days without moving a finger, without wanting to change, without wanting to do anything, just having cyclical, depressive and miserable thoughts and having no way to escape that loop. And I would go to the bathroom and I would look at myself in the mirror and I would just spew the most hateful and disgusting things. I had such a toxic and negative relationship with myself because I hated myself and I hated everything around me and everyone. And bruh, yeah, it is and it was disgusting, to say the least. And let's say that I could even hate myself. I don't hate myself anymore, but I am still kind of repelled by certain things. Like, let's say, yeah, you know, when I look back in my life and realize that I wasted so many years or I wasted so much time doing nothing at all or doing drugs, because yeah, I used to be addicted to a bunch of shit and I couldn't escape that either. So when I look back and I realize that I've wasted so much time, you know, I kind of bang myself or bang my head with like a rock or a bat. And, you know, I think things like, if only I wouldn't have done this, or if only I wouldn't have done that, if only I would have started my YouTube channel earlier, if only I would have taken my music career more seriously, if only I had been faithful to the love of my life, if only if only I would have been faithful to my own path and my own dream, if only I hadn't done this and gotten so depressed for so many years, I would have been here, I would have done this, I would have done that. I think I also fall very quickly into the habit of comparing myself to other people when I know I shouldn't. And there are some times when, I compare myself to my classmates or to my, college classmates, and I never graduated, and I never got the best grades, and I probably, I'm not financially stable at 36 years old. My mom and my family still have to help me out. And I compare myself to people, to my peers, people who are even at my age or people who are even younger, and they are somewhere different in life. And I say, fuck, Let's say I go to Instagram, or I used to. I actually deleted Instagram and all my social media except YouTube. But I used to go and I would used to browse my feed, and then I'd see, one of my friends traveling, and he'd be in, I don't know, Paris, underneath the Eiffel Tower, or he just bought himself a nice car. And I'd just say to myself, holy fuck, I can't fucking believe this. And it's not my friend's fault. It's entirely my own. And I'm like, nah, bro, I'm such an idiot. And then it's like I look at myself back in the mirror and I start, spewing the most nasty, toxic shit that you can imagine. That's one of the reasons why I deleted that shit. Because I have a pretty toxic relationship with social media. And it wasn't healthy for me to just look at other people. Sometimes even famous people. I used to be, let's say, pissed at Bad Bunny, for example. I don't even know him. He doesn't even know me. But he'd be, I don't know, posing with a Ferrari or a Bugatti, or he'd have, very expensive earrings, and I'd be like, I don't got that shit. I'm mad at Bad Bunny. I'm mad at me. So I had to stop. All in all, yeah. I used to be very resentful of the world, very resentful of my family, very resentful of everything. Because at a very young age, I didn't have a quote-unquote dad, or quote-unquote, I didn't have a dad. He's not dead, and he was very much not dead, but he was just not around. And this began like a domino effect of things that, I can't blame the world. I realize that now. It's not the world's fault. And it's not necessarily my dad's fault either. He probably gave it his best shot at being a dad and raising me, even though he did it terribly. But, you realize these things, at one point, the older you get. I want to believe that my parents tried. I want to believe that my father tried. And he is a good man. It was just me overreacting and badly reacting to my circumstances. And then, going through a myriad of things that are only my responsibility, and they only come from a product of my way of thinking or my way of feeling and my way of dealing with things. And yeah, I was a pretty miserable kid. I'm looking at the recording and it says 23 minutes. I don't know if I've extended myself too much. I don't know if you are still even here. But if you are, man, that's crazy. It is what it is. And yeah, maybe you can relate. Maybe you can find some sort of refuge or comfort in my words. And as a person who used to hate himself and everything in the world, let me tell you that at one point, when you start loving yourself and when you start not blaming the world and everything around it, when you stop blaming yourself too, when you have a very dramatic change in perspective, and when you jump from like hatred to somewhere neutral to even love, that's when you kind of, lower your guard and you have more peace of mind, I guess. So one of the things that I want to extend to you, if you're still watching this video, and I know it's easier said than done, but try and don't be so angry like me, or like I used to be. You're going to realize that you wasted a lot of time. There is a Nujabes and Substantial song called Think Different. And the chorus goes something like this: is the glass half full or half empty? It's based on your perspective, quite simply. We're the same and we're not. Know what I'm saying? Listen. I said I'm not better than you. I just think different. And when you learn how to think differently, I think that's when the game, your playthrough, starts to change. And it's always easy to look at everything from a lens of hatred, or from a lens of pessimism, or from a lens of darkness. Why don't you try changing that? It took me a long time, but surely you can get there yourself. And in retrospect, when you are very old, let's say when you are 60 or 70 or 80 years old, and you kind of know that you are at the end, it's your last chapter in your novel or in your story, do you want to look back and realize that you hated living? If that would be my story, I would want to restart my playthrough, because I don't want to hate my life, and I don't want to hate the world that I'm in. Quite the contrary, I want to love the world that I'm in, and I want to love the life that I lead or live. So yeah, I know this is a pretty long video, but yeah, it's a quite personal subject, and I know that I cut corners. I know that I started talking about many different things, but they're all related. So this is Skits of Skits Land Out, and this was I Used to Hate Myself. And hopefully you don't, and hopefully you are in your happy and safe place. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next YouTube video. Peace.